Trail cams have allowed people to observe exactly what happens in the wild. Sometimes they're able to capture something totally unexpected. From strange animal interactions to mysterious creatures in the dark, here are 20 weirdest things ever caught on trail cams. Number 20. Squirrel versus coyote. Life in the wild isn't that easy. In fact, it can be incredibly dangerous. Food and water can be scarce, and you never know when a predator may be around. Small animals may seem to be at a disadvantage when it comes to the fierce competition in the wild, but sometimes their size can also be an advantage. Some small animals are faster and more agile than their predators, and they can hide in tiny spaces that others can't reach. If they're lucky, the animal chasing them might lose patience and choose a different target. This squirrel was able to hide and confuse its predator. It wasn't going to give up and allow itself to get caught. It moved so quickly that the coyote just couldn't keep up. It also helped that its gray fur blended in well with its environment. Everything happened so fast. One moment it was there, and the next moment, it was gone. The squirrel was nowhere to be found. As the coyote searched the area, I could imagine it thinking, "Where did it go? Oh man, I was outsmarted by a squirrel. I hope nobody saw that." The tiny creature was probably high up in the tree by that time, and there wasn't much the coyote could do but walk away. Better luck next time. Before we go on, like this video, smash the subscribe button, and click the notification bell right now. Number 19. Herd of horses running away from huge predator. Seeing a herd of horses running is not really something surprising. We're used to seeing horses run, and we know that they can travel great distances at fast speeds. What's unexpected is that something was actually chasing them, a terrifying grizzly bear. I was quite surprised when I first saw this video. Knowing how fast horses can gallop, I didn't expect to see a heavy bear attempt to chase them. I didn't even know grizzlies could run that fast, but apparently they could actually catch up, especially if the horse is still very young, very old, or very weak. Bears, especially the smaller species, don't usually prey on horses. They're generally opportunistic hunters, which means if there's an easier way to access food, they'll most likely choose that path instead of putting in unnecessary effort. Chasing down a fully grown healthy horse isn't really a piece of cake, and they might even get injured by the horse's powerful kick, so this isn't usually their first option. If this is so, why was the grizzly chasing the herd then? Well, the bear was likely targeting the small foal, which can be seen lagging behind the group. The predator was not far behind, although its distance from the group was still significant enough that it didn't seem like it would be able to run fast enough to catch the foal, unless the horse's stamina failed or it tripped. Number 18. Bear rolls around in sawdust. If you asked anyone what animal they thought was the most dangerous wild animal, bears would probably be on the top of the list. For people who live near woodlands or mountains, there's a higher chance of a bear encounter, and that seems like it would be incredibly frightening. But that doesn't mean they're always menacing. This black bear caught on trail cam footage is far from intimidating. In this footage, the bear is seen rolling around in sawdust and dry leaves on the ground. It tumbles around, pausing once in a while, and then continues to cover itself with sawdust. Seemingly satisfied, the cute little guy stands up and scratches its back using a nearby tree. It just looks adorable now, doesn't it? It turns out that this behavior might not only be for fun, but it could also be necessary for the bear's hygiene. Biologists have observed that bears seem to love the smell of trees, especially beech tar. They even use this scent to attract the furry creatures to an area for their studies. Although beech tar seems to be extremely appealing to bears, some organisms hate it, and that includes ticks. Bear biologist Agnieszka Sergiel wanted to test if one of the reasons why bears love rubbing their backs against beech trees is because its tar is a natural tick repellent. When she placed the said parasites and the tar in a tube, she saw that the ticks deliberately ran away from the substance. Perhaps this cute bear just wanted to keep the ticks at bay. Number 17. Cat gets scared of huge passerby. Have you ever been so shocked and scared in your life that you were frozen in place with your eyes wide open? It's quite funny to see that reaction on this cat when it saw something unusual approaching it. It seemed to be scared, yet curious at the same time. It even pulled its head and body back a bit and lifted its paw, ready to flee if things got rough. What could it have seen to make it react this way? Was it a giant dog? A wild fox? A horrifying monster? Actually, if it were any of those things, the cat would have run away as fast as it could, the first chance it got. But in this situation, it was still deciding whether to stay or go. Maybe it's like seeing one of those terrifying images that sends a chill down your spine, but at the same time, you can't manage to look away. The cat cautiously started eating without taking its eyes off of whatever the scary thing was. Soon enough, we see what horrified the small feline. It's a giant, hairy opossum. They're almost the same size. The cat is so terrified that when it sees the creature up close, it quickly runs away. It doesn't matter that the opossum is just sniffing around and isn't even interested in the food bowl or the cat. The opossum sure looks like a giant rat with its long snout, round ears, and long tail. This cat most likely loves chasing small rodents, but seeing their prey doppelganger 10 times bigger than usual probably gave it a heart attack. When the opossum is out of sight, the cat immediately returns to its food and digs in. It's probably thinking, I have to finish this quickly before it gets back. Number 16. Brave skunk stands up to angry fox. Skunks are cute and fluffy animals, but because of the infamous stink, I wouldn't want to approach them just for fun. Their victims would attest that the stench is extremely difficult to eliminate, lasting for weeks, months, or even years. They may look small and helpless, but even their predators will sometimes think twice before attacking them, just because they have the unique ability to spray irritating chemicals that not only smell horrible, but also cause a sharp pain in the nose, or even temporary blindness. Humans might feel bad when others avoid it because of our smell, but for these little critters, it probably feels so powerful when animals twice their size back away from them. This trail cam footage starts with a skunk sniffing around in the woods. Behind it, we can see a glowing pair of eyes stalking the small creature. The skunk was very alert, and it immediately turned around to see what it was. Its tail was visibly raised, a signal that it was in fight mode. A fox appeared from the shadows, and it was trying to sniff around for food casually. But the skunk wasn't going to take any chances, and it immediately charged toward the fox. What a feisty creature. Initially, the fox ran away, seemingly afraid of the skunk, but it probably felt quite triggered due to being bossed around by such a small creature, so it circled back to face its enemy. The fox tried to look for a vulnerable spot, but the skunk's reflexes were just too quick. The small creature charged toward the fox again, which sent it running. I guess having a natural stink bomb has its advantages, doesn't it? Number 15. Elk leaves a surprise on the trail. In school, especially in your early years, you might have been taught to walk in one line when going from one place to another. This formation kept the hallways clear for other teachers and students to pass, and it helped the class move in an organized manner. Well, humans aren't the only ones who know how to stay in one line. During migration, elk are known to follow a path when transferring from one place to another. The leader of the gang will pave the way, leaving tracks in the snow for the rest to follow. The tracks are useful so that the back of the line won't easily get lost. It also decreases the effort for others when walking in deep snow. Elk may travel for several miles when migrating, so some of them may feel that it's not worth their time to leave a path just to take a dump, and they can just do it right there while walking. What's funny about this footage is that this particular elk decided to release its droppings right in front of the camera. Just look at them rain. Now there's a trail of poop on the ground, and the elk walking right behind the culprit doesn't seem to appreciate the mess it had made. It stops in its tracks, probably dreading the fact that it has to walk on somebody's scat. Can you imagine it seeing the droppings in disbelief and looking behind as if complaining to its friends? Or wondering if it's too late to turn back? But not wanting to hold up the line, it just decides to move forward. Number 14. Fox finds treasure in the snow and tries to grab it. This red fox was seen walking in the snow in search of food when it found something on the ground that piqued its interest. The red fox, or Vulpes vulpes, can be found in several parts of the world, even in some human neighborhoods. It's very resourceful and exceptionally flexible regarding food, matching its diet to whatever is most available in its habitat. When among humans, it can be seen rummaging through garbage or chowing down on leftover pet food. Red foxes have thick, long tails which can measure from 12 to 21.75 inches in length. Aside from helping them maintain their balance, their tails are also useful for keeping themselves warm during wintertime. In this footage, the red fox seems to be alone in the snow, with no potential food in sight. However, using its keen senses, it was able to detect a delicious scent somewhere in the area. It sniffed around on the ground, trying to track where the source was. Then suddenly, it saw something interesting on the ground. It tilted its head to the side out of curiosity, wondering what it could be. From this angle, the trail cam wasn't able to capture what the fox saw, but it could have been a burrow inhabited by a small animal, or a hole where a creature had left its food for safekeeping. Whatever it was, this cunning red fox was able to find it, and it wanted it for itself. It crouched on the ground and jumped, diving into the hole. The hole was too small for its head to fit, though. It tried to dive again, and it seemed a little more successful this time. It checked out its surroundings to see if anybody was around. It tried 2 more times to no avail, so it just decided to dig around to make the hole larger. What do you think the fox found in the snow? Was it able to successfully grab whatever it was? Number 13. Red wolf's strange behavior on the ground. We saw a red fox. Let's now talk about red wolves. Unlike the former, red wolves are actually considered critically endangered, and even the world's most endangered species among the dog family. Red wolves are Canis rufus, are native to the United States. They have a tawny reddish coat and can grow up to 4 feet long. When it comes to size, they're somewhere between the size of gray wolves and coyotes. Nowadays, wild red wolves can be only found in the Alligator River National Wildlife Refuge, located in eastern North Carolina and other nearby counties. Their wild population is estimated to be only 35, or even fewer, which is why the International Union for the Conservation of Nature has classified these animals as critically endangered. Red wolves are similar to other wolves in that they also like to form close-knit packs. Their packs are often comprised of 5 to 8 individuals, including 2 breeding wolves and their offspring. This red wolf seems to have an incredibly itchy back. It was on the ground with its limbs curled up, and it was rolling and rubbing vigorously on the dry land. It also rubbed its neck and body while lying sideways. Actually, this wolf probably wasn't behaving this way because it was itchy. Instead, it engaged in a typical wolf behavior called scent marking, or scent rubbing. This behavior is said to be useful for communicating or hunting. The purpose of rolling on the ground is for the wolf to have the same scent as whatever it rubbed on. It could be manure, urine, food, or other odors that could mask the recognizable scent of the wolf. When it returns to the pack smelling like food, the other wolves know that it's found something delicious and will follow it so that they can feast together. Wolves can also use scent rubbing so prey won't immediately recognize their smell and run away. Number 12. First ever footage of bobcat finding Burmese python nest. When 2 fearsome predators go head-to-head, there's no saying what could happen. A bobcat versus a python. Who would win in a fight? Since we're simply an audience watching a series of trail cam videos, we might find something like this exciting and entertaining. We can only imagine how intense the conflict actually was for these 2 animals when they met in the wilderness. South Florida has been experiencing problems with a particularly invasive species increasing its population in the area, especially in the Everglades. Scientists have observed that Burmese pythons are becoming increasingly numerous, and this is not something the native species in the Everglades are used to. This trail cam caught a glimpse of how other animals are handling the new inhabitants of their land. A bobcat was captured discovering this python nest for the first time. It appeared very curious about its discovery and looked around to make sure that it was safe. It sniffed the eggs several times and occasionally walked away, perhaps double-checking that their mother wasn't around. Uh-oh, the pythons better watch out for this hungry bobcat. The predator eventually left the site with the intention of returning later. When it did, though, it wasn't that lucky anymore because the mother python was back on guard, and it was not happy at all about the bobcat's disturbance. The snake was 14 feet long and weighed 120 pounds, while the wildcat was around 20 pounds. The python was not going to back down from this enemy. The bobcat tried its luck against the python, but it was just too risky. The ecology teams were actually happy about the images because it was evidence that the native species were learning to stand up against the Burmese pythons. They even hope to see more of this type of behavior in the future. Number 11. Creature that looks like a unicorn caught on camera. A unicorn is a famous mythical creature that's often attributed to magic. They mostly appear in children's books and cartoons as a horse-like creature with a single horn on its head. Its mane is also sometimes depicted as colorful to make it more appealing to the eye. Nobody can really prove whether unicorns exist or not, but many cultures around the world have folklore surrounding this creature. Now, could this be footage of an actual unicorn? It sure seems to be a 4-legged animal that looks like a horse with 1 horn on top of its head. When it looks back toward the direction of the camera, though, we can see that it actually has 2 horns, but one just looks a lot shorter than the other. It turns out that this animal is called the chamois. Native to Europe, chamois are goat antelope known for their distinctive hooked horns, which they use for defense against predators and rivals. They can easily navigate steep and rocky terrain and can leap up to 6 meters in a single jump. Chamois have also been influential in European folklore and mythology. In this sense, they share similarities with unicorns in that they spark imagination and curiosity. Because the existence of unicorns is still primarily an unprovable myth, many stay convinced that they don't exist at all. But is it possible that stories of unicorns may have a ring of truth to them and come from similar-looking animals like this chamois? Number 10. Mysterious flying shadow in the night. Here we have a raccoon enjoying its meal on one seemingly ordinary night. As a nocturnal scavenger, it's not unusual to see it out and about at this time, alone and unafraid of what might be lurking in the dark. It was just there, peacefully eating, when a bright light suddenly flashed on camera, followed by an eerie shadow passing by. What in the world is that? The raccoon seemed unfazed by the incident and just continued eating. Didn't it see or hear anything that could have caused such a huge shadow? Although the trail camera didn't really capture what flew above the raccoon, a potential candidate would be a nocturnal bird, such as an owl. Owls are common around the world. They can be seen in deserts, coniferous forests, the Arctic tundra, and several other types of habitats. There are around 250 species of owl, with the barn owl being the most common. They have either round or heart-shaped faces and stocky bodies. Most owls equipped with keen hearing and sharp night vision hunt at night. They can't actually move their big eyes, but they easily compensate for this limitation because their flexible necks can turn up to 270 degrees. That's pretty impressive, and a little bit creepy. Owls prey on different types of small animals, and one of them is the raccoon. So this feeding creature might actually be in danger. Whose shadow do you think this was? Do you think it belonged to an owl? Number 9. Opossum carrying leaves by its tail. For me, opossums are some of the funniest looking animals. They're similar in appearance to giant rats, with pointed faces, long tails, and grayish-brown fur. Opossums are known for their unique defense mechanism of playing dead when threatened. When it feels that it's in danger, it will fall to the ground, become limp, and emit a foul-smelling odor, making it appear as though it's dead. This can last for several hours, allowing the opossum to escape from predators. Even in the wild, away from people, opossums have unique behaviors. Their tails are prehensile, which means that they're useful for grasping and wrapping around things like tree limbs. In this footage, an opossum walking along a fallen tree trunk can be seen carrying leaves in its tail, likely bringing them back to its den to build a more comfortable nest. From this angle, it looks as though its tail is decorated with dried leaves like a fan. As its tail sways, I'm reminded of little kids who like to swish their flowy skirts. People often have mixed opinions about opossums. Some people see them as a nuisance due to their habit of rummaging through trash in search of food. Others appreciate opossums for hunting pests, and also for being naturally endearing enough to be kept as pets. If all opossums are as amusing as this one, I'd like to take one home. Number 8. High-energy martins discover spot with scattered food. Are you the type of person who feels energized at night? You can continue to work, study, play, or party until the wee hours of the morning without getting tired. Or are you the type who can barely keep your eyes open, even if it's just early in the evening? If you're a night owl who loves dancing at night, you might relate to these cute and energetic martins. Martins are weasel-like creatures of the genus Martas. They can be found in the forests of North America, Europe, and Central Asia. Martins have slender bodies, soft coats, and short legs. They're adept at climbing trees and are very active at night. Martins are usually solitary, but the abundance of food in this part of the forest seemed to have attracted a group of them to feed together. It's just strange, though, that some of them suddenly started jumping around the place. It seemed that some of the martins wanted to exert their dominance and discourage others from eating from their pile. Others jumped away to avoid their aggressive peers, or maybe they just really had a lot of excess energy from all the excitement of finding this food. One last funny fact about these furry creatures is that they're important seed dispersers, meaning that the seeds they eat generally pass through the animal intact, and they're still likely germinable. This means the seeds they poop out can still grow. They spread the seeds throughout their habitat and grow the next generation of plants just by pooping. Number 7. Bull elk's strange ritual. The mating season for elk is called the rut, and it's a special time for their species. During this period, the male elk, called a bull, typically exhibits more aggressive behavior and will perform rituals intended to show their dominance and attract the females, known as cows. During the rut, cows come into heat and release pheromones that are irresistible to bulls. This causes a significant change in bull behavior because the males will be driven to mate with as many cows as they can. This includes elaborate displays of dominance, such as squawking and beating up trees. During this time, bulls tend to be more visible and aggressive than usual. For us humans, when we want to impress someone we like, we'll usually try to look neat and smell as nice as possible. What bulls do to impress the ladies seems to be the opposite, though, at least from our perspective. Their way of looking and smelling nice is through wallowing in the mud, just like what this elk is doing. They'll urinate in a huge mud puddle, stir it up, and lie down in it. The result is somehow attractive to the cows. Number 6. Deer and birds feed together. Deer are known as gentle and timid creatures. They often tread lightly, moving as quietly as possible in order not to attract attention to themselves. As we know, deer are prey to a lot of animals, so remaining inconspicuous is very important, or else it could be very dangerous for them. With all the risks that exist in the wild, it's not surprising that deer have learned to be flighty at the slightest sign of danger. Other animals are like this too. Birds, for instance, usually fly away when an animal or person approaches them. However, they seem to make an exception if the creature is far from intimidating. In this video, a deer is seen carefully approaching a pile of wood on the snowy ground. It actually looks shy and doesn't want to cause any disturbance to the birds. Initially, some of the birds instinctively flew away when the deer approached them. They immediately returned, though, after seeing that it wasn't a threat. What a wholesome sight. Number 5. Huge machine with incredible forestry capabilities. With the development of technology, several processes which used to be done manually are slowly becoming automated. Several products are now mainly manufactured using machines. They're said to be more efficient and cost-effective, and for high-risk operations, machines are often able to make tasks safer for workers. One such machine is this big guy. Called a forest harvester, or simply a harvester, this equipment can make cutting and processing trees a whole lot easier. It requires a lot less manpower and time to do the job of felling, bucking, and limbing trees. Just look at how effectively this machine handles the trunk. Those in the industry would know how much time and effort could be saved using a harvester for this type of job. The equipment is not without its limitations, though. Operating the harvester on steep terrain could be dangerous due to the increased risk of a rollover. It also won't be able to cut or process trees that are too large for its operational capacity. The harvester may be able to work well with trees such as conifers, aspen, and birch. However, it's not suitable for harvesting hardwood species if they have multiple merchantable stems. Still, it's really cool to be able to witness this machine at work. The owner of this trail cam is quite lucky, too. Imagine if the harvester felled the tree where this camera was placed. That would have been really unfortunate. Number 4. Extinct predator caught on camera. This image is as weird as it gets. It shows a dinosaur roaming around a grassy area surrounded by many trees. The photo was said to be taken by a trail cam in the year 2012, a few minutes before midnight. The dinosaur looks a lot like the velociraptor from the Jurassic Park franchise. The thing is, according to paleontologists, the actual velociraptors back in the day would have looked a lot different from how they were depicted in the movies. Fossil evidence pointed out that the dinosaur species wasn't that large, even smaller than a wolf. It had a bird-like appearance and feathers covering its arms and its body. With that in mind, this photo seems to be nothing but a practical joke. Unless, of course, this was the product of a classified science experiment that escaped from the lab. What do you think? Was this image simply photoshopped? Was it a dinosaur statue? Or a person wearing a velociraptor costume? Or did the trail cam actually capture a real giant reptile? Number 3. One-eyed fox and creepy glowing eyes. Campfire horror stories often feature people seeing a pair of glowing eyes stalking them in the dark, followed by the appearance of a huge menacing monster. In reality, several animals can appear to have glowing eyes, and not all of them are that terrifying. Actually, you might have noticed some of these animals in the previous trail cam videos. Glowing eyes are usually a feature of animals that have good night vision. The glow is caused by a particular reflective surface behind a retina called tapetum lucidum. This special part in their eyes allows them to see well in the dark. Some of the animals that are equipped with tapetum lucidum include dogs, cats, deer, horses, and foxes. Humans, on the other hand, don't have this unique feature. Something about this fox is quite strange because only one of its eyes is glowing, which makes it likely that it was actually blind in one eye. While it was sniffing around for food, it suddenly sensed that it was not alone. It looked behind it anxiously, trying to see what it was. When everything seemed quiet again, the fox could finally start eating. It was probably nothing, right? Then suddenly, something appeared in the darkness. A pair of glowing eyes slowly approaching the fox. What do you think was lurking in the dark? Number 2. A glimpse of the dogman. Speaking of glowing eyes, here's another unidentified creature hidden in the darkness. We've seen plenty of glowing eyes in the previous trail cam videos, but this pair looks a lot different from an ordinary animal's, which has led other people to suspect that this could be a supernatural being. Its eyes look slanted and seem to shine brighter than all the others we've seen before. What's more is that they seem to be located high above the ground, as if the creature is standing upright. There's also a shot of the supposed creature with its face close to the camera, but not much can be seen except for its extremely bright eye shining directly at the lens. Because of its strange and seemingly hairy appearance, some say that this could be a video of a half-dog and half-human hybrid creature such as the Dogman or a werewolf. Some people felt that the whole thing was just a little too suspicious, since the footage didn't really show much of the creature, and the eyes looked fake. What do you think? And now, it's time for today's topic. This trail cam captured what no one was supposed to see. A strange creature that looked eerily like an alien was seen walking on the road toward the canal. Its skin was silvery white, and it had a bulbous head and large eyes. The trail cam footage wasn't able to capture where it came from, but it is believed that the creature dove into the canal and never returned to the surface. The following day, authorities combed the canal, but they didn't find any trace of the creature. Some people online who have seen this image are convinced that it's an alien. How about you? What do you think was captured on camera? What was it doing in the canal? And where could it be now? As always, comment down below with the hashtag today's topic and let us know your opinion about what we just showed on screen. With that said, let's keep things moving. Number 1. Bigfoot caught on camera. Aside from wild animals and the occasional dinosaur, another creature that has been caught several times on camera is the legendary Bigfoot. Sightings have been reported for several decades, but most scientists still say that their existence cannot be confirmed by hard evidence. When talking about how the story of Bigfoot began, researchers would often refer to an article written in Humboldt Times about road construction workers finding a massive 16-inch footprint on the ground. This was far from the last time people would report seeing the giant. This trail cam footage was said to be taken in the Birch Bay area. It was nighttime, and a tall, hairy, human-like figure could be seen walking past the trees until it disappeared in the darkness. The creature looked as if it had dark, thick fur, similar to an ape, but it walked upright like a human. Many believe that this is really Bigfoot, especially since the creature looked extremely similar to how the stories described it to be. A lot of things beyond the ordinary happen outside our homes, especially in mysterious places like the vast wilderness. What are some of the weird things you've seen happen in the wild? Were you able to capture them on camera? Let us know in the comments down below. Also, check out our other cool stuff showing up on the screen right now, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, everybody.